Welcome to another episode of Next Door Conversations with me, Amara. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a trip down memory lane. We're going to be unpacking or reliving some of my university experiences, and we'll be talking about the value of a Nigerian tertiary education in 2026, trying to figure out if it is worth it going into higher institution, given the current security climate. You know, we have people in uni just that are literally fleeing for their lives and so much more. There are a lot of reasons to not go to university in 2026, and we're going to be unpacking that on today's episode. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Amara and this is Next Door Conversations, my podcast where I talk about trending news, viral content, what's happening on social media and in the world at large. If you like what you're listening to, make sure that you're following the podcast, ring notification bells so every time I drop an episode you get a notification. And also don't forget to share this episode with a friend, because I'm sure there's someone in your circle of friends that's interested in topics like these. And also don't forget to rate this podcast 5 stars. This is a 5-star podcast, so please give me 5 stars. And without too much yapping, let's get straight into the episode. So recall a couple of the episodes ago that we spoke about the employability crisis amongst Gen Zs, and we attributed this to the state of the economy and the absence of good paying jobs. Well, I want us to do a further deep dive into that topic, discussing the value of a Nigerian tertiary education, because I feel like that's the genesis of all of this. And I will be honest that I did not come up with this idea all on my own. I was actually inspired by a YouTube video that I watched from the WILAN group. I don't know if it's a talk show that has a YouTube page or just a YouTube page, but on there, they bring a whole bunch of industry experts in their fields. And I mean people that actually have degrees, or not just influencers, guys. People with degrees and experience in their fields, whether it's education, media, whether it's law, healthcare, and so much more. And so they come on there and they have these panel discussions discussing things that are important. And one of such videos was the value of a Nigerian education. And I thought, that would actually be a great podcast episode for Next Door Conversation. So I brought it on here. I'm giving credit where credit is due. If you can, please check out the WILAN, stands for Women in Leadership, something. I don't know the remaining. But do check them out on YouTube. I think the only way we can start this episode off is by talking about my experience as a uni student, as an undergraduate. If you are listening to this podcast for the first time, you probably do not know I attended the University of Nigeria. Yeah, Nigeria's premier university. You would think having University of Nigeria as the name of the university would make it some sort of like symbol, like, you know, sort of paradigm, an example for other universities to follow. But no, I have more negative experiences in that place than I do have positive experiences. And I would not trade for a second being a graduate, guys. Going back, like, I have PTSD, nightmares from my experience as an undergrad in University of Nigeria, which is unfortunate because at the start of uni, I was so excited. You know how young people are. They're like, oh, I'm finally leaving my father's house. Nobody's going to bully me. I'm going to go on here and live my life. And that time, there was this popular show called Grownish. It was all the rave and I was obsessed with it. And I used to think that I would have a Grownish experience, okay? Grownish is like an American sitcom following American college kids. And I was like, I'm going to enter UNN and I'm going to make friends. I'm going to have a diverse friend group. It's going to be gender diverse, thought diverse, tribe diverse. I'm going to have friends from West, from the East, from the North, from everywhere. And we're going to have an amazing experience. And the reality, bro, is I came out of that university fighting for my life. I came out with scars, with bruises. There was no one present to ground me in the reality of what Nigerian federal institutions are. I'm sure a lot of firstborns can relate to being the test monkey. You know, they throw you to the dogs and then they watch what happens, and whatever lesson they take from that experience, they use it for the other children. So as you can guess, last born in my house is in a private university. I faced a lot of challenges. Many people know that I was homeless for the first year. Literally for the first year of uni, I was homeless. And even if I was given accommodation, guy, the state of the accommodations there are so bad. The amount of diseases you can catch in those university hostels, it is crazy. Crazy the places that these university staff, these higher people, the VC and so on, so are expecting people's children to sleep and eat and bathe and wash. There's this particular TikToker, this Nigerian TikToker just that actually gained clout online by showing the state of University of Nigeria hostels. It is bad. In fact, one of her videos is currently going viral where she's showing the state of the toilets. If you want to watch a horror film, just go to that TikTok page, guys. Just go to that TikTok page and you will see proper horror. That thing still gives me PTSD. That the whole environment, it makes my skin crawl. And it's not just the hostels, even the lecture halls. I remember being 17 and seeing my life flash before my eyes in uni as I was struggling to enter gym bars. And I'm telling you, it really is that bad. Imagine 500, 700 students struggling for their life to enter a classroom, only to sit down and there's one PA system smack in the middle middle of the class that's supposed to accommodate everybody. No matter how fantabulous you are as a lecturer, the quality of your teaching is going to be impacted by that. And so that's another thing you have to deal with, is the poor teaching. You can't keep up. As I am right now, my hearing is not the best. So I know that if I was in first year again, I would fail. But they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn if you're disabled and you can't run into the classroom and get a seat. They don't care if you're neurodivergent. They don't care if you are partly deaf. Left to your devices, you're left to sort of figure out how you can survive and pass the courses so you can get to the next class, because nobody is going to look back. They don't care. It's very dog eat dog. They do not care if you get knocked out and repeat a year. You won't be the first person. So those are just some of the issues that I had as an undergrad, and those problems, unfortunately, have yet to be solved till this day. This popular social advocate, Alex Onya, if you know him, he's very pro-Igbo. He's currently doing a tour of the University of Nigeria, the different campuses, and asking some of the students some questions about their experiences there. Just go and check it out so you'll get an idea of how bad things are over there. And it's not just really University of Nigeria, guys. It's almost all federal institutions in Nigeria. I'm sure you could pick a random person in UI or someone in Uni in Lorin or someone up north, and you could ask them about their experience in federal institutions, and they will show you signs and wonders. Which brings us to the topic of Uni Jos. So last week, it was reported that 1,600 students were evacuated from Uni Jos by the state because of the unrest in the Angoan community, which is close to the university. Premium Times actually reported 5 days ago that 2 Uni Jos students were killed in another unrest. And today we are hearing of a Uni Jos student that was kidnapped, and a ransom of 30 million naira is being demanded for his release. The student, who doubles as a technician, was en route to Zaria from Jos to see to the promise he had made to a friend to fix an item when he was kidnapped, along with everyone else who boarded the bus he entered, guys. The young man goes by the name of John Aram. Videos of him being tortured endlessly and made to denounce his religious beliefs are going viral right now all over social media. And what's more, the perpetrators are in full view in those videos, guys. You can search it up and you will see the people that kidnapped this boy. Their faces are plastered all over the internet. But the worst part is no one seems to care. No one seems to care about John Aram being kidnapped. No security. Nobody has come out to make any statements. No one gives a damn. As at the time I'm recording this, at least, no outrage or address from the school authorities or security personnel or even the government. No one cares except the few helpless voices sharing the stories about John's kidnapping online. John stands as a cautionary tale for a lot of young people in Jos and around the country right now about the often unspoken risk of pursuing a tertiary education in 2026. The state of insecurity is yet another thing one must consider when pursuing an education in federal institutions. And young Nigerians, especially those in states like Jos and environs, are having to ask the question, is this degree worth my life? For those in the relatively safer south, they have to consider the years spent submitting to the dictates of a uni which offers no substantial leverage in the everyday world. So in 2026, is a university degree really worth it? Well, here's my unfiltered opinion. I do understand a lot of the pressure that Gen Zs face, which was laterally brought on by the millennial generation to get a university degree because of the social stigma against those without a bachelor's degree. And it's not just those without a bachelor's degree, it's those with an OND, it's those with a HND, it's those that went to certain private unis because certain private unis are being looked down on. So I do understand how in society, being someone with a bachelor's, with a BSc or a BA, a smack at the end of your name, sort of gives you some sort of leverage. Like, people are more likely to listen to what you have to say than someone who is a WAEC holder, because there's this belief that, if you have done the work to gain admission and you've attended uni and you've done exam after exam after exam and you've passed all the levels, you did a whole capstone project and you were able to graduate from the university, surely you are a thinking somebody. Surely you will come out, with your head on straight. I will tell you, there are lots of people with bachelor's degrees that did not receive a proper education. There are lots of people that claim to be educated, but they are no better than the average Nigerian. And I really wish we could get past this era of thinking that people with bachelor's degrees are somehow better than people who just have WAEC. Because if we're really being honest, there are lots of people that come out of university and that is all they have. They just have their degree. They don't have jobs. They don't have money for pockets. They don't have anything. And they're forced to start all over again in another sector or do something in the trades or start a business. But do not be mistaken. I am very pro education. I am very pro get that degree. In spite of that, I do believe if you don't have to get a degree from a Nigerian university, you shouldn't. I'm going to say that again. In 2026, if you don't have to get a degree from a Nigerian university, you should not. I know people that went to school and studied astronomy for 4 years in Nigeria, for 4 years in a Nigerian tertiary institution, and they graduate and they don't have jobs. They drop the certificate is just there for being there. They drop the certificate and they go and find what they will do that will actually put food on the table. I know people that studied biochemistry that ended up in banking. I know people that studied law that ended up in fashion. I know people that studied medicine, got a scholarship to study abroad, dropped the medicine and started doing tech. So there are a lot of Nigerians, there are a lot of young Nigerians that are having serious regrets over the years wasted in universities pursuing degrees that are valueless to them. Some of them were pushed down this career path because they were given admission into these courses. Some of them really felt like there was nothing else to do, so why not just go into uni and start something? Most of Nigerians are dealing with this regret. So many of them are saying if they could go back in time, they would not have done that. They would have figured something out. They would have been more dedicated to pursuing scholarships abroad or trying to figure out what they can do to earn money before they even think of going to higher institution. That is the narrative I'm hearing a lot. And I feel we're at a time where you do not have to be a part of that statistic of Nigerians who spend 5 years or 6 years, thanks to ASU strikes, in university studying something that will offer no benefits to you when you're out of school. I firmly believe, and this is my personal opinion, that a Nigerian tertiary uni degree offers you the opportunity to pivot, and that is the only reason you should be getting one in 2026. You should be getting that degree if you are certain that once you are done, you can get a job in the country that pays you relatively okay, enough for you to pivot to another career, or that degree positions you for roles outside of the country. Okay, so you're planning your japa. But if you must attend a Nigerian university, please go to a school that values your safety and your education, and that also offers you a foot outside the country. Those schools cost a pretty penny, but I guarantee you they are worth it. I hear stories all the time about where CU alums are going, where Babcock alums are going. Go to schools where if you put in the work, you will be rewarded. Don't go to schools where you will be kidnapped and school authorities will not give a damn, or schools where you literally pass on in the school premises and they do not give a damn. I can tell you, during my time in UNN, I know so many students that died. I know so many students that they were either electrocuted in the hostels because of some naked wire, or students that fell sick and they passed on because of the state of their surroundings, or students that genuinely, maybe their passing on has nothing to do with the school, but the school authority doesn't even offer them that dignity of saying, this was one of ours, we are in mourning or something like that. A school that does not care if 500 people are packed in a lecture hall and what that means for their disabled population. I'm saying this, yes, I am a product of a Nigerian tertiary institution. I know what I suffered to come out with my degree, but I'm telling you right now, it is not worth it. It is not worth it. Please, I am not saying that these private institutions are heaven on earth, because they too, they have their own problems that we are all well aware of. But in 2026, I think parents will have peace of mind knowing that their children are in relatively safer hands, and knowing that their children have the opportunity to make valuable connections as well as position themselves globally. And that is all I really have to say about this topic. So you let me know your thoughts on social media at nextdoorpod_, #nextdoorpod, at Amara Nextdoor. What do you think about the value of a tertiary education in a federal university in 2026? What advice would you give to young people? Do you agree with me that going to a federal institution is not worth it? Do you think that going to a private is better? Do you think that people should bid their time for scholarships abroad? What are your thoughts? Do let me know them, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.